Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to let folks know that we will be going out to light the sacred fire. So I know lots of folks have taken their jackets off. However, we're going to be going out to light the sacred fire shortly. So if you can just get prepared for that, then when we come back into the building, we'll have a few minutes for people to get resituated. So just remember where your seat is. They're all assigned seats.
Good morning, everybody. Morning. I'm glad that we went into a circle. I got the what is it called, the map before, and it had people spread out in little kind of squares. It made it uncomfortable. Really. Thought that it's interesting that it just takes its natural form now. All the universe works in circle, right? Things go, you know, seasons turn round, everything turns around in circles. We're round, some of us a little rounder than others, but you know, we're working on it. It's winter time. The bears taught me. I'm grateful to be here today, and I'm honored to be here. And I say that on behalf of my brother and myself. My name is Philip Gattensby. Yount Leslie. U2S. Klinget Kat Kot Katan Kat Yedi Dachchant. My name is Phil Gattensby. I'm from Carcross. We've been asked, my brother and I have carried ceremony for a number of years now, and we've been asked to come and to do this, hold this sacred fire for this gathering, this important gathering, momentous gathering. I'm grateful that you're here to bear witness with us. When we light this fire, we know that this is not new. This is not a new fire. It's a fire that our ancestors used. It's a fire that we've used to survive and to live with from the beginning. And what my brother and I will do today is we will hold this fire and keep it, and it will be like an ongoing prayer. We're going to invite our ancestors here. One of the things that what we've come to realize is that we oftentimes are taught that our ancestors are back there somewhere in time. But what we know for sure is that they're here. They're here now. They're here with us. They're inside of us. And so we're going to invite them to come and be part of this, so that it becomes like an ongoing prayer. And we'll hold it till tomorrow. And what we'll do is we brought tobacco, which is a sacred plant the people used to communicate with Creator. We offered tobacco into the fire as a prayer to hold our attention. In our hand, have a little bit of cedar there as well. And when you put that tobacco in the fire and that cedar, then you add your prayer to it, and it becomes big. We generate light, generate an energy, and that when we do that, each person that contributes makes that bigger and bigger. We're going to make a prayer this morning. I ask that you might join us, and I ask that you invite your ancestors here to become aware of that, and to invite them here today so they can witness this event. We're going to make a prayer, like I said, and we're going to generate some energy, and we're going to generate some light. And there are people that all of us know that could use that light, use that love and that help. Once we do that, you can take it and you can direct it to whoever that you know needs it. Someone who's at home struggling, someone that you know needs the help. And so we're going to do that together today. So I ask you in a family way, because we are family, each one of us, that you would invite your ancestors. We're going to ask the Creator to send His sacred helpers here to hold this fire with us. And we're going to keep it going till tomorrow. So I want to ask Jeannie to come and just speak a little bit on this. Sorry, Jeannie, I know you are already.
Just a little bit to hear that. Thank you so much, Phil, and thank you so much for coming. What I wanted to say here at the fire is what the intent is. The intent was to come together in ceremony, come together in the best way that we can, in unity, in Yukon. to change the story for our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and to uphold their dignity and justice. This is it's a long time coming to get to this place. And we've done everything since the beginning. And so it's very fitting to have this ceremony today to mark this historic day. Also part of the intent that we put into our fire was to ask for healing and ask for strength for all of our communities right now as we continue to battle through COVID-19 and battle through restrictions for safety for our, but we also send that out to our entire nation and the entire world. So there's a prophecy that says an Indigenous prophecy that says that healing will come from the north, and I feel that's part of what we're doing here today. So thank you so much for coming today. Madu.
You know, this used to be our playground when we were kids here, right here. This whole area was called the shipyard area. This was our swimming hole. It was our playground. We were wild. Trouble all the time. Trouble with our social workers. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because it's been quite a turnaround for me to be able to stand before you and say a prayer from my heart. What a long journey it took from our playground here. Now I love to pray. I don't know how it works. I give credit to the great mystery. It's never the way I ask. You know, you guys, you can come and smudge your bingo dabbers or your lotto tickets. I don't know if that's going to work or not. It hasn't for me. But it's a good life, and it's good to be alive. After all that we've gone through, it's good to be alive. And it's good to have family. I don't know about industry, corporation, government, bureaucracy, but I know this. It's good to have family today, man. And I look at all of you here, like you're my family that's going to help me create a healthier future together for the next generation, every one of you. We got some work to do now. All of us. Earth is in trouble. The next generation's in trouble. And it's up to us. Yeah, us. Not me, not him. All of us. We're going to light this fire today, my relatives. We're going to do it for all of you. So you participate. You come out and make an offering. If you're okay with that, nothing forced. Say a prayer from your heart. We're going to take care of the fire. But the other thing with this, in this time right now, it's time for each one of us to participate holistically in life. And that fire is going to help us. Well, join me in a prayer. It's a wonderful thing. I told you about how I used to live because nobody would have ever believed in their lives that I would be standing here talking like this to you people. Let's say a prayer together. Used to be, let's go rob the liquor store together. Let's go steal a car together. You know, we were together. And so I'm telling you, I'm a living miracle, man. I really am. Just because I could stand here and feel good about saying a prayer with you. That's Creator's miraculous work, man. I'll let my brother speak for himself. I won't tattletale on him. Let's join together in our heart. There is one heart. That's Creator's heart. We all live in it. We forgot. Let's join together in Creator's heart and put our heart's intention out there. But one thing also, in this journey that we're on now, where everything is uncertain, the journey goes in here, not just out there. The big journey we all got to take is in here. Find peace in our own hearts. So pray for yourselves too. Don't be scared to do that. We come to you today, great mystery. Ever so grateful for this opportunity to join together in your heart, to express to you our gratitude for the mystery, for this life, for this day, for these good people that are gathered together. We come to you humbly today, Creator, life giver. We come to you today to express our gratitude for the food we're eating today, for the air that we're breathing, for the heart that's keeping us warm in this weather. The great mystery, what a miracle you've made of every one of us here. Help us to remember that, Creator, grandmothers, the angels, our grandmothers and grandfathers. Help us to remember the blessings that you gave each one of us, that we're going to make it through this life and we're going to continue on. As we say a prayer to you, Creator, to our angels, helpers, we're thankful again for our family, for our home fire, for our children, for this land, for the north, for the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, our ancestors, Mother Earth. And we come to you all asking you, the invisible world, we need your help now. We need your help to remember who we are and the blessings that you've given to us, everyone. That we're good, great, two-leggeds on this earth, and we can change things and we can make a difference. We thank you for that. We say a prayer, Creator, for those people that are grieving on this earth. There's so much of it now. Help them to get through it, to pass through it, but to get stuck in it. We pray for the families that are grieving. We pray for the families that have lost loved ones that you've taken back home, Creator. We ask that you might help us find peace, find resolution. I ask that you bless these people that have been working on this dilemma that we all face. That you bless them. Don't let them carry that stuff with them. Let us keep on doing the best we can. Bless each one, bless their homes, their home fire, their communities, their ancestors, and let us all collectively put our hearts together for the next generation coming and learn how to treat each other like family. Hey, kunistis. We give you thanks once again. In the name of the Great Spirit, Kyong Kao, Klik Kagon, Klik Klik, Klik Hukja, Klik Buffalo. We ask that you bless this event. Let us have good with open minds and open hearts, and treat each other like long lost family and work together for action to make a change in light and love. Ever grateful once again. In the name of our Creator, grandmother, grandfather, Mother Earth. In the name of all our relations, amen.
So we've asked Peter Johnson to come and light the fire for us today. But it's our honor to do this. We thought that it's time for men to step up, men to carry ceremony and to support this movement towards health and wellness. So once this fire gets lit, the ancestors are going to come. The spirits that support us around in this wonderful land are going to be here. And you feel welcome to come up if you need to and spend time. This is something we can do together. So we can make. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. You could come out at any time, make the offering. You could do it now if you want. My brother and I are gonna set up a little tent. We're gonna spend the night here, keep the fire going. So visit. Have a safe visit.
Yeah, and then we're going to, if you want to, folks to just head back in, but please keep your social distance. Thank you.
Yes. Camping out in. It's good. Can.
I so appreciate the prayer. Hi, folks. I just wanted to let you know that we will be getting started in a few moments, so get comfortable. I know it was chilly out there, but it was beautiful. So we'll have a few minutes to get resituated, and then we'll get started. Thank you.
Okay,
You can see it.
the red mark come off, yep.
Yeah, and click it again.
Okay, folks, we're going to get started. Thank you so much for being here. Jeannie McLean Ushia. I'm from the Tahltan Nation. I am from the Wolf Clan, and I come from Clogadena people from Telegraph Creek, BC, but I am a born and raised Yukoner, and I'm so honored to be the minister responsible for the Women's Directorate. I want to acknowledge the traditional territory of the Kwanlindun First Nation and the Ta'anquechan Council. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this important business and hold this ceremony on your land. Thank you so much, Chief. And it's really great to always to be in Kwanlindun's house. So it's really remarkable to see all of you here today. I want to first and foremost thank Harold and Phil Gattensby for the ceremony that they just did for us. They will be holding us in ceremony for over 24 hours. So they'll be here throughout the night holding the space for us. And as I said out at the fire, we put the intent for action. We put the intent for unity. We put the intent for healing and for changing the story for our women. We want to change this reality that we have in our territory. And that's the intent that went into this. The other part of the intent is that our communities are suffering right now. COVID-19 has caused a lot of restriction for everyone. There's a tremendous amount of grief in our communities. And so when we did the intent for the fire, we put that in as well and said, we need healing for our communities. We need safety. We need to come together in unity, as I've already said. But also we want to send that healing out to the rest of Canada and to the world. So that's the space that's being held for us today in this ceremony. Again, thank you all so very much for being here. And it's remarkable to see all of you in one space. There are lots of folks that are joining virtually, and this is really truly a remarkable day. Our work on MMIWG has always been grounded in ceremony. From the very first day of the National Inquiry, the National Inquiry actually opened their hearings right here in Whitehorse on this very land that we're on right now, just 3.5 years ago. So now we've come full circle, setting out our commitment to each other and to those same family members in ceremony. I want to talk about a really special, very beautiful young woman that I've held close to me for the last 6 years. I did not know her until I knew of her death in our community at Kwanlindun. It's actually 6 years this week since Brandy Vichurqua died in our community at Kwanlindun. And I've held her in my heart and throughout this entire time to where, and so I believe that there are no accidents, that this was intended to be this week. And so I want to tell her family that she was loved, she is missed, and she has inspired me to do what we're doing here today. Today's event looks different, of course, than what we would have ever imagined 3 years ago or even 9 months ago. But we are working through this unprecedented time while keeping, of course, our commitment to this work strong and the families at the forefront of this incredible journey that we've been on together. To those of you in the room, I'll encourage you to, of course, follow the Safe 6+. Please wear your mask at all times when moving throughout the building. When you're sitting, it's fine not to have your mask on. I just wanted to say that. And you can remove it when you're speaking for sure. To those of you who are taking part virtually, and I want to say right now, there's a very special elder who's helped us along the way, who's guided us, and who's watching right now, Agnes Mills. And I want to thank Stephen, her son, for ensuring that she's able to watch and witness, because this is her life's work. And she's lost a number of family members and to this very tragedy that we're here to talk about and to make commitments towards today. So I'm so glad that technology has made it possible for you to witness this momentous occasion. But know that I wish we could all, of course, that we could all come together. And as I've said to the family members, the 3 co-chairs did a video to the families and to talk about the strategy, and we expressed really clearly that we, of course, are together always in spirit. So I feel that today, and I feel just as Phil has, you know, when they lit the fire and called on our ancestors, I can feel that. And I can feel the spirit of all those women as well that have gone on before and that have inspired the work that we're doing today to change this story. I also want to recognize that this might be a difficult day for some. If you need support, the counselors from CARES Society here in Whitehorse have made themselves available. They can be reached at 867-667-2247, and this will be shared on the live stream as well. So thank you to CARES. And of course, I really want to say thank you to the staff of the Women's Directorate and to Gunta Business. Gunta has done all the technology, the technological services, and but together they've put so much heart into this, and I am forever grateful. They've taken care of every little detail, and so thank you so much for all that you've done today to help us be in this event safely and to come together in such a good way. So today we've come together to share in an incredible accomplishment. We are here to renew our commitment to this important work with the release of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and Two-Spirit Plus strategy. The strategy outlines 31 action items for Yukon under 4 paths: strengthening connections and supports, community safety and justice, economic independence and education, community action and accountability. These action items are directly informed by the final report of the National Inquiry and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and of course the experiences of Yukon families and survivors. Yukon is the first jurisdiction in the country to release a comprehensive response to the National Inquiry. This is something that I am incredibly proud of. We're all incredibly proud of. We should all take a moment to recognize and celebrate what an accomplishment this really is. We have created a whole of Yukon response that will guide us for the next 10 to 15 years. With this, we will work together to create a better Yukon where Indigenous women are safe and respected, where their dignity is upheld, where they receive justice. This strategy will also serve as a guide for the rest of the country. The National Action Plan on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, no doubt, will be informed by our approach in Yukon. As we move forward to develop an implementation plan, we are committed to the implementation principles set out in the strategy, including sustainability and accountability. I look forward to a time in the future, once COVID allows, when we will bring all partners together alongside a family gathering to make sure we are on the right track. By regularly reporting back to each other on the progress we have made, we will keep this work moving forward and add to it with emerging priorities. Getting to this point has been hard work, but I believe it has all been part of a journey. We've all been part of a journey to get here. I know that each of us has put our hearts into every meeting, every word, every moment that it took to get this strategy into your hands today. I really want to recognize and thank my colleagues of the Yukon Advisory Committee. We have worked together through really tough discussions, and I can guarantee a lot of disagreements, but our passion kept us moving forward. So thank you, Chief Bill and Anne Maja Rader, and all the members for your work. And they're all here today in the room with us. I'm so proud that we can share with everyone here today the Yukon Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls to Spirit Plus strategy. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the logo on the Yukon's MMMIWG2S Plus strategy. It was designed by Janelle Richardson, a Yukon Indigenous woman and sister to Tina, who was one of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls of the Yukon. In 2016, our leadership came together to sign a historic declaration to work. Sorry, I'm going to just go back. These pins that the signatories have been given today have been beaded by a number of beautiful women across the territory. So they're very special. And we also had lapel pins made. And as we go forward, and I know each and every one of you are going to be signing a new declaration today, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity going forward for other partners, other contributors, and Yukoners and other Canadians that can make that same declaration that we make today. So those pins are going to be available, and we will have them as we move forward with our strategy. So in 2016, Yukon leadership came together to sign a historic declaration to work together to end violence against Indigenous women, girls, and LGBTQ2S+ individuals. The commitment formed the basis of the work of this work moving forward and enabled us to approach the work of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls from a place of unity and strength. This is why we have embedded this document into Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls 2S Plus strategy, and why we are re-signing this document here today. It commits us all to work together as we move ahead. And I'm honored. Do I have my declaration? Sorry. So I'm honored to be the first to renew my commitment to the MMMIWG2S Plus Declaration 2020. Okay. So on behalf of the Yukon Advisory Committee, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Yeah, thanks. So with that, I'd like to invite my co-chair and very, very good friend, Chief Doris Bell, to say a few words and to join me in signing the declaration on behalf of the Kwanlundan First Nation.
Well, good morning, everyone. First off, I want to acknowledge the families that are grieving today, including my community. You know, it's a very difficult time for many, and COVID has really compounded those issues. And Minister Dendies and I would like to invite the families after 10:30 this morning. They can come down and say a prayer around the sacred fire that has been lit this morning. I also want to acknowledge Phil and Harold Gadsby for lighting the fire this morning, and for Grand Chief Peter Johnson for providing the spark. Yeah. And I also want to say hello and congratulations to Agnes Mills. Your Order of Yukon is well deserved, and thank you for your dedication and all the years that you put into this issue and other issues. We truly, truly appreciate you. Goodness cheese, Joe. Today marks a historic day. The completion of the Yukon Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and 2S+ strategy marks a milestone for the Yukon. Thank you to everyone who is here today, in person and virtually, to sign the renewed declaration and pledging your commitment to work together. I am so proud and honored to feel the support for this strategy from across the territory, and indeed across the country. This really is an achievement. I know how it feels sometimes as a leader, seeing the complex issues your community and your nation is facing. When it feels overwhelming, use this strategy as your guide. We all want Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirited+ people to feel safety, respect, dignity, and justice. No one can do this alone, but together we can. Yukon government will not and should not lead all action items outlined in this strategy. We will develop the implementation plans with partners and contributors. Together, we will determine who will lead, fund, and implement each action item. The Yukon Advisory Committee, supported by Yukon Government Women's Directorate, will facilitate this work. There is much work ahead. Alone, the burden would feel heavy. But if we each carry some, the load is manageable. As we go into the darkest time of the year, remember this. It's been a hard year, and the coming weeks will be no easier for many in our communities. Let's support each other. Hold those family members and survivors of MMMIWG2S+ in your hearts today, in the coming weeks, and as we embark upon this work together. Now, I am honored to sign the MMMIWG2S Declaration 2020. On behalf of Kwanlundun First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice. Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls 2S+ strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you so much, Chief Bill. Our third co-chair and president of the Liard Aboriginal Women's Society and a fierce advocate for Indigenous women and girls, Anne Maja Rader, will now say a few words and be the next to sign the MMIWG2S+ Declaration 2020.
Good morning. I'd just like to thank my co-chairs and my colleagues, members of Yukon Advisory Committee. My name is Anne Maja Rader. I'm Cascadena. I was born in Ross River, Yukon. I am a member of the Crow Clan people, and my father was Pete Charlie, my mother was Lena Charlie, and my grandmother was Marcia, and my grandpa was Old Maje. And that's my great grandpa, whose name I've got, Maje, and my grandpa is Kisoli. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak our hearts on something that's so pressing across Canada, something that we collectively need to address, and that we need to stand in solidarity to address. Today is International Human Rights Day. How appropriate that we would have the presenting and the unveiling of Yukon's strategy, changing the story to upholding dignity and justice for Indigenous women and girls. Amnesty International declared this day International Human Rights Day, and it's a demand for justice. So in order for us to have our dignity, we need justice, we need truth, and we need reparation. Those are the three things that we need in our country if we, as Indigenous women, are going to restore our dignity. My sister died in the 70s. My sister did not have any rights. My sister did not have a right to vote. My sister did not have a voice. But we across Canada, we collectively are going to give our sisters a voice, and that's why we're here. I'm passionate about this, and I will forever remain passionate. So on behalf of Yukon Advisory Committee, and especially on behalf of our family members and survivors of MMIWG2S+, I want to recognize and honor the commitment we're making to each other today. Together, we are pledging to work together to take action to end violence against Indigenous women and girls. Thank you for taking a stand with us today. on this issue and committing your government to work. I am proud that Yukon has come together to create a strategy that involves the whole territory for the next 10 to 15 years. I want to recognize the contributions of those who have paved the road today. The elders, late Elder Pearl Keenan, late Elder May Stewart. Those voices still resonate in my heart. I can hear Pearl saying, remember who you are. You are culture, your people. You follow your culture, follow your way. Those were her words. May Stewart, forever being May Broadhagen, always talking about Bill C-31 and how important it is for our women to have our status and to have our recognition. So thank you to those late elders. I recognize and remember the many Indigenous women advocates and family members. Their resilience and resistance is the reason we are here today. As we celebrate this historic milestone, let us hold them in our hearts. When family members gathered this past summer to provide input to Yukon MMMIWG2S Plus strategy, they laid out a clear call for action without delay. They want all governments and organizations to make change quickly. They need to uphold dignity and justice for Indigenous women and girls is urgent. We must never forget this. Although implementing this strategy takes time, we know there are promising practices to be built on. There is expertise in each community. As we work together to create the implementation plan for the Yukon MMIWG2S2 Plus strategy, let us each look for community-based solutions. Recognizing the agency and expertise of Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people who can be the path that leads us away from violence. Today I learned a new word. I learned rematriation. I thought, yeah, this is what it's about, rematriation. This is about Indigenous women having equality. So we want to rematriate our dignity back to us. So now I'm honored to be the next to sign the MMIWG2S2 Plus Declaration 2020. On behalf of Liard Aboriginal Women's Society, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice. Yukon MMIWG2S Plus strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you so much, Anne. Anne has been one of my role models, one of my mentors for a very long time. So it's been a real pleasure to work with her throughout this last several years to get to this day. So thank you, Madhu. I now have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker and signatory from Government of Canada, joining us virtually, like so many of you that are joining us as well virtually. The Honourable Carolyn Bennett, Minister of Crown, Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs, to sign the MMIWG2S Plus Declaration 2020. Welcome.
Shonitan, Danche, Anusakut, Tansi, hello, bonjour. Aujourd'hui, je vous parle de ma maison à Toronto située sur le territoire traditionnel de la Première Nation de Mississaugas of the Credit, où nous honorons tous les peuples autochtones qui ont pagaillé sur ces eaux et dans les mocassins ont parcouru ces terres. I'd like to honor all the territories from where you are participating and really wish I could be with you on the Kwalendon territory and the Tahonquitchin Council territory. And while I can't be with you in person, as we all stay safe, I proudly wear this pin that the minister described, designed by Janelle Richardson, the member of Little Salmon Carmack's First Nation, and honor her sister, Tina, who was one of the MMIWG of the Yukon. And we honor all the families and survivors. We thank you to Elder Phil and Harold Gadsby for starting us in a good way, and with your prayer and always ceremony, and to Grand Chief Peter Johnson for lighting the sacred fire, and for Elder Phil to remind us that our ancestors are here with us today. I remember being there with you at the sacred fire by the river for the pre-inquiry in January 2016. I have a picture of that morning in my office as we circled around the sacred fire. That day is one that I will always remember. Heartbreaking stories, yet such palpable support for the families and survivors by the strong Yukon Aboriginal Women's Council and the Whitehorse Aboriginal Circle and the Liard Aboriginal Women's Society. Since then, we have been deeply moved, and the country has been inspired by the leadership of the Yukon government working hand in hand with Yukon First Nations. Your strong partnership has led to this extraordinary strategy, which we sign today. Yukon, as the minister said, is the first amongst the provinces and territories to deliver a strong and collaborative strategy. Your hard work now becomes the first chapter of what will become a truly national response to the final report of the National Inquiry. All provinces and territories, together with the federal and Indigenous governments, are putting in place the concrete actions to stop this national tragedy that will be effective, enduring, and accountable for results. Just over 3 years ago, the National Inquiry started the truth gathering process with the families and survivors with you in Whitehorse. Your tremendous support and experience ensured that the first event was an example of cultural safety and trauma informed. Those images remain with all Canadians today. It was important to the commissioners to complete the circle by finishing the truth gathering process by returning to Whitehorse, returning to that your place of dignity and respect for families and survivors, the place dedicated to healing, justice, and concrete actions to prevent the ongoing tragedy. Yukon has demonstrated that genuine cooperation and co-development is essential to getting our collective response right. Minister Monsef and Minister Vandel and I are so grateful to Minister Jeannie McLean, Chief Doris Bill, and Anne Major Rader, Executive Director of the Liard Aboriginal Women's Society, for their work as co-chairs of the Yukon Advisory Committee. You have provided Canada with an effective and accountable strategy for MMIWG2S+, as well as for the National Action Plan on Gender-Based Violence, working with Minister Monsef. I remember being in Kwalendon shortly after I was appointed minister, very late at night after a very delayed flight. I remember a passionate presentation on justice reform. I now recognize that that presenter is now the minister responsible for this truly important strategy. We thank you, Minister, and we thank Chief Doris Bill for your transformative leadership, and Anne Major Rader for your ongoing advocacy and today's powerful words. Yukon continues to aspire. From Chief Elijah Smith's delivery of Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow to Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, to today, as we sign Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon continues to provide Indigenous-led solutions that are transforming communities and inspiring governments from coast to coast to coast. The plan presented today provides an effective and accountable path forward together to end this national tragedy. The strength of the Yukon strategy is, as you've heard, is the result of a whole of Yukon approach. Yukon strategy speaks specifically to how the Yukon territory will move forward. Every province and territory has its own circumstances. It stands to reason that the solutions and approaches be a reflection of those realities. Le Canada comprend que ce n'est qu'en soutenant et en travaillant en véritable partenariat avec les Premières Nations, les Inuits et les Métis, que l'on pourra trouver et mettre en œuvre les solutions qui permettront de remédier à l'héritage des politiques coloniales néfastes. We are so grateful for the tremendous example that Yukon has set for Canada and all provinces and territories. Yukon is playing an instrumental role in the whole of country effort to develop the National Action Plan. We are very grateful, Premier, that your Deputy Minister, Valerie Royal, is now bringing her expertise and the Yukon experience as co-chair of the core working group on the development of the National Action Plan. Canada is proud to be working hand in hand with Yukon government to change the story, to uphold dignity and justice, to celebrate Human Rights Day with you with this important milestone. Yukon's plan contains a vision statement. It needs to be echoed everywhere in Canada. Healthy, safe, and violence-free communities where Indigenous women, girls, two-spirited, and LGBTQ plus Yukoners are respected, inherently valued, and treated equitably with dignity and justice. All Canadians need to be part of this journey, truth and reconciliation, eliminating sexism and racism. Au nom de Premier ministre, de mes collègues qui se joignent à nous aujourd'hui et de tous les fonctionnaires qui travaillent avec nous pour mettre fin à cette tragédie nationale, nous sommes fiers de nous joindre à vous tous aujourd'hui et nous vous félicitons pour ce travail extraordinaire et transformateur. Gwennis, merci chauve, nakamik, merci, thank you, merci beaucoup. Now,
Sign that declaration.
so on behalf of the Government of Canada and as Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, together and as individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy. Thank you.
Well, maybe we should go after this one. Thank you so much, Minister Bennett. we absolutely look forward to continuing the work together and to work with you throughout this implementation stage of the strategy. I will now turn to our federal, I'm mindful of time. I know folks have a lot of commitments today, so please bear with me. I'm going to move us through quickly. As we move through, I'm going to turn now to our federal counterparts to read out only the designated text on the declaration, holding the intention of the ceremony we just entered into in your heart. First, the Honorable Miriam Monsef, Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development, will be the next federal representative to sign the renewed declaration.
On behalf of the Government of Canada and as Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, to survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Masicho.
Thank you so much, Minister. Minister Monsef and I have become very good friends over the years, and such an honor to have her come and join us today. Next, I will invite the Honorable Dan Vandal, Minister of Northern Affairs, to sign the declaration.
Thank you. On behalf of the Government of Canada and as Minister of Northern Affairs, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of the Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Thank you. Masicho.
Thank you so much, Minister. We're so happy to have you as a signatory and a supporter of Yukon's work. I will now ask our last guest speaker and my colleague from Government of Yukon, Premier Sandy Silver, to join us to sign the MMIWG2S Plus Declaration 2020.
Thank you very much, Minister McLean. Thank you to the federal ministers, the chiefs on the line here. I'm looking at all the names. What a powerful group of people here assembled. I really wish I could be at the Kwame Dunn Cultural Center right now, but we are in the First Minister's conversations. This is a profound day. I'm so very pleased to be here representing the government of Yukon and pledging our commitment to the Yukon MMIWG2S Plus strategy. Today marks an incredible milestone for our government, for all Yukoners. And I'm honored to be here, entering into a partnership with all of you across the territory and indeed across the country. We all know that the crises of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls has gone on for far too long. I want to recognize the path. I want to recognize the pain, the loss, and the trauma that too many family members have experienced in our territory. Know that we hold your experiences and your wisdom close and dear. You are the heart of this strategy and always will be. Although I know that there is tremendous work ahead, finalizing the whole of Yukon strategy today is absolutely something incredible. I know that this strategy will guide my actions, our actions as a government, and will keep us on the right track and moving forward. I know that the government will not and should not lead all actions that are outlined in this strategy, but I know that there are some areas that where we have a responsibility to do better as a government, and we will. I hope that the actions that we have already taken in the last 4 years have set us on the right path. And I want to personally thank the Yukon Advisory Committee for your dedication to getting us to this point. I know how hard you've worked. I know how personal this is. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. To all of my colleagues ready to join me in signing this declaration I look forward to the work together with you as we uphold the dignity and justice for Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people in our territory. To our federal colleagues attending virtually, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing openly your commitment to taking action to end violence against Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited plus folks across the country. I know that we will continue to work closely together to implement the Yukon MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and I also just to support the development of the National Action Plan as well. And I do hope that we can host you here in our beautiful territory in the very, very near future. Before I sign the declaration, I just wanted to remind us all that as we each move through the holiday season, the darkest time of the year, let us carry the ceremony that we took part in today with us, and let's hold that sacred fire in our hearts. Today is a day for hope, recognition that together we can change the story for Indigenous women and girls. We can uphold dignity and justice. I'm now very honored to sign the declaration of the MMMIWG2S Plus Declaration 2020 on behalf of the Government of Yukon. Together and as an individual, I am committed to doing my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to being accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you so much for your commitment and for all your support throughout the time that we worked to develop this strategy, Premier. It's very much appreciated. Okay, now I am very mindful of time. I know that folks have to be in different places rather soon. So now I will turn to all our other leaders to sign the declaration. I will ask that each of you read out the designated text from the Declaration 2020. I know that we want to say so much about our passion and what we're feeling today, but in recognition of the limited time that we have together and out of respect for everyone attending today, I will ask you to kindly hold your remarks. I invite all Yukon First Nation leaders to join us in dialogue tomorrow at the Yukon Forum. All other signatories, I ask you to please take your conversations with you back to your governments, share your public commitment to Yukon's MMIWG strategy with your colleagues and your community, and throughout your community. There will be a lot of opportunity to express ourselves. First, I would like to recognize Chief Christina Kane of the Ta'anquechan Council, whose traditional territory we are gathered on today. She will join us virtually to sign the declaration. Chief Kane, okay, great, thanks.
Hi there, good morning. Is the audio fine?
Yes.
Okay, so just, I guess firstly, on behalf of the Ta'anquechan Council, I just wanted to acknowledge all those who are in the room and welcome all those who are online as well to our traditional territory, which of course we share in part with the Kwalindun First Nation. So I just wanted to extend that welcome. And obviously, thank you to Minister McLean and Maj Rader and Chief Bill and all of their teams for leading us to this point. So in terms of the declaration, On behalf of the Tonquitchin Council, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy, and I've signed the declaration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Kane. We will now move to the signatories who are in the room, and I'll introduce each by name, and they will read the renewed declaration, and then I will turn to those who are joining virtually. So, Carcross-Tagish First Nation Deputy Chief Mariah Benoit.
On behalf of Carcross-Tagish First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Champagne-Ajiac First Nation Chief or Deputy Chief Marie McLaren.
Good morning. On behalf of the Champagne-Ajiac First Nations, together and as an individual, I have committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of change the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy and initiatives to contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, and other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Liard First Nation Councillor Amanda Brown.
On behalf of Liard First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, two-spirited plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in this strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy. Sugasin La.
Thank you. Ross River Dena Council Chief Jack Caesar.
On behalf of the Ross River Dena Council, together and as an individual, I am committed to doing my part to take action for the implementation of the changing the story to upholding dignity and justice. Yukon's MMMIWG2S strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementing of this strategy. So it's not that.
Selkirk First Nation Deputy Chief Carmen Baker.
On behalf of Selkirk First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy. The initiatives that contribute to the vision set out to the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy.
Teslin Tlingit Council, Chief Eric Morris.
On behalf of Teslin Tlingit Council, together as an individual, I commit to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Madhu. Council of Yukon First Nations Grand Chief Peter Johnston.
On behalf of the Council of Yukon First Nations, together as an individual, I commit to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and the initiatives that contribute to the vision of set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to the families, survivors, and other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Furthermore, I commit to my sisters and my daughters and my granddaughter.
Assembly of First Nations Regional Chief Klowani Adamak.
Today, Human Rights Day, and on behalf of the Assembly of First Nations Yukon Regional Office, together and as an individual, I am committed to doing my part to take action on the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2 plus strategy, and of course, the initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in this strategy. I commit to being accountable to families, to women and men, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Gynach Chish, and our hearts are with the families today.
Minister of Health and Social Services, Government of Yukon, Minister Pauline Frost.
On behalf of the Government of Yukon, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding the dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy.
Minister of Justice, Government of Yukon, Tracy Ann McPhee.
Thank you. On behalf of Government of Yukon and as Minister responsible for Justice and Education, and as Attorney General together, and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Minister of Community Services, Government of Yukon, John Stryker.
Thanks.
On behalf of the Government of Yukon and as the Minister of Community Services, together and as an individual, I commit to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy.
Deputy Premier, Government of Yukon, Ranj Pillai.
On behalf of the Government of Yukon, as Minister responsible for Energy, Mines, Resources, Economic Development, Yukon Energy Corporation, and Yukon Development Corporation, and as Deputy Premier, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to the families, survivors, my wife, my sons, and other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of the strategy.
Thank you. Minister of Highways and Public Works and the Public Service Commission, Richard Mostyn.
Thank you all. On behalf of the Government of Yukon, as Minister responsible for the Public Service Commission and Highways and Public Works, together and as an individual, I commit to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls Two-Spirit Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in this strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yukon Party and Official Opposition, Curry Dixon.
Thank you. On behalf of the Yukon Party, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of the strategy.
Thank you. Yukon New Democratic Party, Kate White.
On behalf of the Yukon New Democratic Party, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Our Member of Parliament, Honourable Larry Bagnall.
On behalf of the offices of Member of Parliament for Yukon, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Two-Spirited Plus strategy, and the initiatives to contribute to the vision set out in that strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of the strategy. Suga Sinla.
Con Senator Pat Duncan.
On behalf of the Senate of Canada, as Senator for the Yukon, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of Changing the Story to Upholding Dignity and Justice, MMIWG2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. RCMP Chief Superintendent Scott Shepherd.
Thank you, Minister. On behalf of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice. Yukon's missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls, Two-Spirited Plus strategy, and the initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. City of Whitehorse Mayor Dan Curtis.
Thank you, Minister. On behalf of the City of Whitehorse, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in this strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you, Mayor. Town of Faro Mayor Leonard Faber.
On behalf of the town of Faro, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. And I also commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you, Mayor. We will now go to virtual, go to the town of Tuslin, Mayor Gord Curran, who has a recorded message. Trondequichin First Nation Chief Roberta Joseph. No sound. Okay. Kluane First Nation Chief Bob Dixon.
Sanjay, everybody can hear me all right? Just give me a quick thumbs up. All right. So I don't know if the video is working or not, but on behalf of 21st Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and the initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy. Shoni Thun.
Thank you. Little Simon Carmack's First Nation Chief Nicole Tom.
On behalf of the Little Simon Carmack's First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon MMIWG2 plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Masicho.
Nacho Nayakdun First Nation Chief Simon Mervin. Just keep going. We'll move, I'm not sure if Chief Mervin is there. We can come back. Vantakuchin First Nation Chief Dana Tija Shram.
On behalf of the Vantakuchin government, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contributes to the Yukon and to the vision to set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy on behalf of my people, the matriarchs, and our nation.
Thank you. White River First Nation Chief Angela Demet.
We're unable to hear you, Demet.
Kami Sultan Inuzi Chief Angela Demet iti. On behalf of White River First Nation, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice. Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of the strategy. Masi Sini.
Thank you. Dawson City Mayor Wayne Padaroka.
Thank you. On behalf of the city of Dawson, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Village of Carmacks Deputy Mayor Lorraine Graham.
Morning. On behalf of Mayor and Council for the Village of Carmacks, together and as individuals, we are committed to do our part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. We commit to end violence, including all forms of race and gender-based violence, and to uphold dignity and justice for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit plus people in the Yukon. We commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of the strategy.
Thank you. Town of Mayo, Councillor Joanne Aird.
On behalf of Mayor and Council of the Village of Mayo, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Town of Watson Lake. I'm not sure who's on for Town of Watson Lake.
Mayor Irvin here. On behalf of the
great.
town of Watson Lake, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice. Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Village of Haines Junction.
Hello. On behalf of the Mayor and Council of the Village of Haines Junction, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners, as well as my Indigenous daughter, for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Yukon Advisory Committee member representing family members, Tony Blanchard, and also council member for the Little Salmon Carmacks First Nation. Okay.
Thanks, Melissa. Good morning. On behalf of Yukon Advisory Committee representing family members, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMIWG2S plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of the strategy. Masicho.
Thank you. Yukon Advisory Committee member representing Liard Aboriginal Women's Society, Amanda Buffalo.
On behalf of Liard Aboriginal Women's Society, together and as an individual, I'm committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice, Yukon's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and 2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. Most importantly, I commit to end violence, including all forms of race and gender-based violence, and to uphold dignity and justice for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people in the Yukon and across Canada. I commit to be accountable to the families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Yukon Advisory. Now we'll go back. We have 3 members in person from the Advisory Committee, Yukon Advisory Committee, from the Yukon Aboriginal Women's Council, Terry Zabo.
On behalf of the 42 murdered and missing Indigenous women who no longer have a voice, on behalf of Yukon Aboriginal Women's Council, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's Murdered Missing Women and Girls 2S Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Yukon Advisory Committee member from the Whitehorse Aboriginal Women's Circle, Adeline Weber.
On behalf of the Whitehorse Aboriginal Women's Circle and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, Two-Spirit Plus strategy, and initiatives that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, other partners, contributors, and the Yukoners for the implementation of this strategy.
Thank you. Yukon Advisory Committee member and Elder Representative May Bolton.
On behalf of the Yukon Advisory Committee, together as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story, to upholding dignity and justice, Yukon's MMMIWG2S plus strategy, an initiative that contribute to the vision set out in the strategy. I committed to be accountable to families, survivors, and other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for the implementation of the strategy.
Do we end there? We're done? I just want to do it short. We're going to, we had some of the Yukon Advisory Committee ex officio members that are going to sign after, but I do want to please have Joy O'Brien sign as part of the ceremony. Joy's been with us since forever and has worked the closest with our families, so.
On behalf of Yukon Advisory ex officio member and our families, together and as an individual, I am committed to do my part to take action for the implementation of changing the story to uphold dignity and justice. Yukon's missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, Two-Spirited Plus strategy, an initiative that contributes to the vision set out in this strategy. I commit to be accountable to families, survivors, and other partners, contributors, and Yukoners for implementation of this strategy.
Thank you so much. Well, that brings us to the end of our ceremony today. It's very powerful to see every level of government and every partner sign such an important declaration to change the story and uphold dignity and justice for our women. It's been a long path, a long journey. There's been a lot of hard work, as Klawani puts it, and a lot of heavy lifting. And I have to say the heartache, there was a lot of heartache as well, but it was necessary to get us to where we are today. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and being part of this. It's a historic day and a very powerful ceremony that we went through to get today. I want to remind folks again that the sacred fire will burn until around noon tomorrow. You can please let your family members know or other community members who may need some uplifting to come and be part of that ceremony, because it's for all of us. So thank you so much. We're now going to, folks can, we're going to transition, but I do want to do a round of applause for all of you and for the Thank you so much. And if we're behind time and supposed to be in a press conference here in this room right now, so you can stay if you wish, but you'll have to stay in your seat or exit. You can exit out this way. You can go back out to the sacred fire, but you're welcome to leave. The three of us will be doing the press conference today, so we'll transition into that now. And to our virtual guests, the Zoom meeting will now end. Thank you so much for being part of it. And if you'd like to watch the press conference, it'll be on the Yukon government Facebook page. And, okay, I think we're good. Oh, yes, sorry. If you could please leave your signed declarations with the folks right here that were at the front desk when you came in, Lisa or Hillary.